Hello, wonderful people, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from. My name is Silas Apia, and today we are here for the info session. And today's discussion is going to be a bit different. We like to call it the HR Decoder. Why this name? We want to be able to demystify any form of misconception and bring clarity to anybody who is thinking about becoming a certified or a chartered HR professional. So, in today's conversation, we have a few people who are outlined on our list. And it will be very surprising to everyone on the call that these people have all gone through the international HR certification. And today's conversation is not going to be just on textbooks and about any random information, but it's going to be more experiential. It's going to be from the point of view of those who have tried it, those who have experienced it, and those who understand it better. So stick and stay and do enjoy the show. But at the end of the webinar, we are going to take some questions. So anyone on the call would feel free to put your questions in the comments or the chat box, and then we will take the questions live here so that our speakers will be able to attempt and assist with the answers. Once again, you are welcome, and would like to know where you are joining us from. So you can put in the comment box if it is Silas joining from Accra. You can put it there if it is maybe Jessica joining from Kaswa or Samuel joining from um, maybe Argentina. just put it in the comment section, and then we would give you the necessary shout out that you deserve. But without wasting too much time, I'll take some time to introduce our speakers. Before that, I would like you to know that this is proudly brought to you by the HR Certification Center. The HR Certification Center is a tuition provider or a training body that provides training for the international HR certification from the HRCI. But beyond that, we also have a lot of leadership and executive training programs, and it's mainly for capacity building. So if you are someone who is very intentional about your self growth and personal development, this would be a good place for you. So stick to the end and you'd hear more about the center. All right. We can see Rachel from Ofanko. Hi, Rachel. It's good to have you on the call. And we have a few others, but I would like to zoom straight into the introduction so that we can jump into the conversation as soon as possible. Our first speaker is in the person of Dede Ofe. Now, Dede is a commercially grounded senior HR executive with over 20 years of experience driving people strategy and organizational development across high growth multinational organizations. Known for translating complex business goals into high performing human resource outcomes, Dede currently leads the full people agenda for Jumia Ghana, and she's the head of the at the group level for learning and development. Her extensive expertise spans talent acquisition, performance management, and navigating intrinsic labor relations across West Africa and the UK. Throughout her career at leading the firms, including Olam, G4S, Cooperative Insurance Society, and S&N Young, she has successfully built HR functions from scratch, optimized operational costs, and led large-scale workforce integrations. Dede holds a BA in Management and Economics from the University of Ghana and an MSc in Human Resource Management from the University of Manchester, and remains an SPHRI, which is the Senior Professional in Human Resource International, and Ghana Labor Act credentials. With you are welcome. Welcome to today's conversation.
Thank you so much, Silas, for the warm welcome and introduction. I'm delighted to be here to share my SPRI journey.
It's good to have you. And I must say the profile is just a summary of her experience. So you should just know how bulky the actual one is. All right. So I'll introduce our next speaker. And she is in the person of Christabel Efriye Walters. Now, Mrs. Christabel Efriye Walters is a chartered human resource professional with over 10 years of experience in strategic and operational human resource management. She holds a master's degree in the International Human Resource Management, which is SPHRI, and she's a business consultant. She has a bachelor's degree in business administration, and she's a certified mediator from the Gami and Gami Mediation Academy. She currently serves as the human resource manager at the Victoria Grammar School and provides HR consultancy services to organizations, supporting them in strengthening their people strategies, policy development, performance management systems, employee engagement initiatives, and organizational development. Christabel is passionate about building positive workplace cultures, developing people, and aligning human resource practices with organizational goals. She believes in continuous learning, integrity, innovation, and creating environments where individuals can grow and contribute meaningfully. Beyond her professional work, she enjoys mentoring young people, supporting educational initiatives, and promoting creative and lifelong learning. Christabel, it's good to have you on the call.
Thank you very much, Silas. I look forward to an insightful and enriching session. Thank you.
You're welcome. I must say another summarized profile, and you notice how these people have entered spaces. I'll introduce our last speaker, and she is actually with the HR Certification Center, and she's in the person of Mrs. Anbertha Ajati. She's a highly skilled and detail oriented professional with a solid background in business administration and successful management of small teams and startups in achieving their business objectives. With over a decade of experience, she has excelled in ensuring customer satisfaction within the financial and educational sectors. She possesses extensive expertise in event management, having spearheaded several prominent events at the HR Certification Center, including the Corporate Walk for Life. That was a very good experience. The Camp Experience, anniversary events, and conferences. As a certified senior professional in human resources and the admin and training manager at the HR Certification Center, she is a leader committed to driving organizational success. And Betha, it's good to have you join today's conversation.
Hi, Silas. Thank you for having me too.
Mm,
And hello, Dede, and hello, Chrisbel.
Hi,
okay.
Andrea.
Hi.
All right. So now that we have a full house, I can see some people are still dropping where they are joining us from. It's good to have you. We have someone from Kwando, and it's good to have you on the call. Um, Before we jump into today's conversation, I would like all of us or each of our participants or speakers to just give us their opening statements, because you are all senior professionals or you have all experienced the HR certification. And sharing your experience, I just want each and everyone to touch on maybe what we seek to share with our audience at the end of today's conversation. So I'll take Dede first, then I'll move to Chris Bell, then I'll come to Anbertha, then we zoom into today's conversation. Dede, you have the floor.
All right, Silas, thank you so much for the opportunity. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again to the HRCC for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to sharing my SPHR journey. I don't know whether I should be embarrassed because I actually did a course in 2023. That's how long it took me to finally get around to sitting the exam just last month and passing. So my journey was not perfect, but it was
Mm,
real. I'm sure other people have had similar experiences. Um, I was busy, I had to balance work life and other career aspirations. And but I learned a lot of lessons along the way. From the 3 years, I put it off till late last year when I finally said I have to get this done. The reasons why I had to do it, eventually doing it in June of just last month, and then passing, and all the lessons I've learned along the way. I hope that some of them will encourage those who are still considering or pursuing certification.
that's a very good one. And you shouldn't be embarrassed because you're a certified HR professional now. So,
And what actually drove me, Silas, was
okay.
seeing, because you put on all these group platforms, WhatsApp group platforms, right? So when people pass, they are posted. I'm like, what?
Ah,
And people
okay.
who had worked under me were doing this. I'm like, I'm
We're getting
slacking.
left behind.
I did prioritize it along the way, but I realized, nah, it has to be done. Yes,
Oh, this is very good. And better, we need to post a lot more of these pictures. So
pressure,
pressure.
good
All right, thank
pressure.
you, David. So, Chris Bell, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you very much, Silas, for this opportunity.
Mm,
So I'm looking forward to sharing my SPHRI journey, which has not been easy but fun at the same time. And from my decision to pursue the certification, how I have been preparing for the exams and the experiences that have been shaped that have shaped, sorry, the process. It's not been an easy journey, as I said, but it has been a very rewarding one. Along the
mm,
way, we built support systems, including study groups. We encourage one another. We share resources we have. So basically, I'll be sharing some of these experiences as well as how the HR Center has also supported and guided us throughout the journey. Yeah, thank
mm.
you.
Thank you for that, Chris Bell. It's good to have you on the call. Um, we are still having people joining us and putting in the comment section. So we have Belinda from Ouija. Belinda, it's good to have you on the call. And Chris Bell, we look forward to hearing about your journey. All right, Anbetha, you have the floor.
Okay, so I tend to have another interesting experience with the HR Certification Center.
Okay.
So I took the course some 5 years ago. And interestingly, after getting my certification, that is when I joined the HR Certification Center as a team member. So I've had the experience as a student myself.
Mm,
And then I'm now at the other point that I have to make sure that all the others that come into contact with the HR Certification Center also experience whatever I did back then and improve on what we were taught or what we engaged in back then. And over the years, I think I've done about 20 cohorts already
mm,
since I joined the HR Certification Center. And the more we go through our processes, our operational activities, we do our best to perfect it so that we ensure that all candidates who enroll have a great learning experience. So I'm hoping that all those who would join would have the final decision to join our next cohort. Thank you.
all right. Thank you, Anbetha. And from a student to a staff and now managing the training and admin team. That's also another experience we look forward to share listening to. I hope some people are not convinced that after they certify now they become staff members as well. Okay, so let's zoom into today's conversation. I want to ask Chris Bell first, as she likes to be addressed. Um, Christabel, what exactly was happening in your career or your life at the time you made the decision, or what made you think this is the right moment for me to take the international HR certification program? Okay, Christabel, you are muted.
All right, sorry. All right, thank you very much, Silas.
All right.
So I'm a chartered human resource management practitioner. So people often ask, why another certification? But
Mm,
for me, it's very simple. HR is constantly evolving, and having my chartered certification gave me a strong foundation locally. But I wanted something that would broaden my perspective and expose me to a global HR practice. So I actually looked at different options before settling in on the SPHRI. A colleague, I recall, yes, a colleague from a previous workplace mentioned it to me in a conversation. He had completed the PHRI then and spoke highly of it. So I started following the HR Certification Center on social media, and I also did my own research. And it looked more like it became clearer. Let me put it that way, because I realized it shouldn't even be just another certification on my wall, but something that would challenge my thinking and
mm,
make me more strategic, globally competitive in an HR professional. And looking back, I can confidently say that I made the right decision. It's been rewarding so far. So
mm.
that's the journey and how or what prompted me to start this certification program. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So it was a desire to not just have another certification on your wall, but to
Mm.
be in a place where you understand leading a team strategically.
Right, right. Because when I contacted the HR Certification Center, they shared
Mm,
all the relevant information. I looked at the module and I said, oh, this is something that I'm really looking forward to.
all
And,
right.
truth be told, it's just been as I expected.
Okay. And what about you, Didi? So in your opening remarks, you mentioned that you took the exam because of the flyers you saw and a few people who were in your team who were already certified. But even before taking the program, what made you make the decision that I need to become a certified HR professional?
Well, I've been working in HR since 2023 or 4. Sorry, 2003 or 4. So
Okay.
for me, I already had I felt I had a good amount of practical experience, but I wanted to be able to benchmark myself against an internationally recognized standard and deepen my strategic HR knowledge.
Mm,
It was also a way to challenge myself, really, because after a while you can get a bit complacent and find the work a bit boring. So I wanted to challenge myself and get over being too comfortable. So I actually, similar to Chris Bell's experience, I had seen a friend be certified. So I started following your HRCC on, I think, on LinkedIn.
okay.
So did a bit of research. You know, there are so many options out there in terms of HR certifications, but based on the recognition that SPHRI has, and then based on feedback from friends who've gone through it, I selected that one as the opportunity to validate what I know I already know, and then
Mm,
also help me identify areas that I think I could grow. And I did find that when I was going through the training after the course with HRCC, the self taught learning I did, I realized I had a few gaps, and it was really beneficial for me to sort of expand my knowledge in those in the gaps I identified. Yeah.
mm. Okay, so still on the day, you mentioned about how you wanted to validate what you believed you already knew. During your process of studying with the center, what were some of the biggest adjustments you had to make? Looking at your studying period, what what role did the center also play in order for you to understand what you understand now, to sit and then write and also pass the international exam?
So I appreciated the, because we are all different learners, right? I am more a visual learner. Okay. So I can be on calls and listening and I can take a few away. But I have to be able to sit down and read things at my own pace or do things at my own pace.
Mm,
So being able to go over past questions and being able to, what do you call the practice test? That's yes, that you could go online and do were really helpful.
okay.
The initial course being on Sundays was also super helpful. I mean, that's the option I went for. I don't know whether it's still available. This is three
It
years
is.
ago. Okay. So of course, any I can't do anything during the week. It's impossible. So being able to do it virtually on Sundays was super helpful. And then afterwards, when I then was ready to sit the exam, the tutorials in the evenings available every few weeks was also super helpful.
Mm,
So, and then it's being recorded, so I could go over it at my own pace on my phone. I can be doing something and then it's playing in the background. So I could see that everything was tailored around busy people, right? So all the various options and the fact that you guys are really very, you're on time, everything works as per schedule, information is shared on time, very thorough. I'm all into that. I don't like things being done half-half. So when you share information on time and you stick to what you promised to do, that for me it stops. Yeah. So the way you cater to busy professionals and giving us various options to study was helpful for me. And the patience for me to be able to come back when I
yeah.
was ready was also helpful. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. You mentioned the past questions and being able to solve a lot of questions. You mentioned the tutorial sessions, and the fact that it was online. Is it the same experience for you, Chris Bell?
All right. So for me, my biggest concern prior to enrolling was time.
Mm,
As HR professionals, our calendars are hardly ever empty. And
mm,
on top of work, Saturdays were like my me time for myself, where I go to the gym, I play tennis, swim, or go for long walks. But then I had to dedicate my Saturdays to SPHRI. And
mm,
another concern was, in a Ghanaian context, weekends are for weddings, funerals, family gatherings, and the
yeah,
rest.
yeah.
But I knew I would have to make a lot of sacrifice for this. Then there was also the financial bit, paying the amount for the training and the fee for the certification
Mm,
program. But sometimes you look at the amount and think, this money can do a lot of things. So, but then you remind yourself that, look, every worthwhile investment requires sacrifice,
mm,
whether it's your time, your money, or your energy. Growth always demands that growth always demands something from you. So you need to embrace it.
mm,
And after making that decision, I told myself, I'm doing this and I'm going in all. So basically that was the concern, but it looks like I've been able to go through that stage successfully,
mm.
and I'm now preparing towards writing the exams. Yeah.
That's a beautiful story, and those were very genuine concerns, you and especially about the prize you made mention of. Immediately you spoke about it. I remembered something a mentor once told me that, Silas, in everything that is worthwhile, you have to pay the price. But the question is, will you pay now or you pay in the future? You paying now might be in terms of your time, your resources, but in the future is the opportunity you are going to miss. And definitely you are still going to pay something for that. So it's a very good thing Chris Bell mentioned. And you taking the step was actually very, very, very encouraging. So think it's something we can all learn from. Now, I want to find out from Anne Betha. Um, Looking at the experiences Didi and Chris Bell have shared, what exactly does the center do, especially in challenges or situations like these? For instance, looking at busy professionals and their schedule, looking at some people who don't have even the time to come there in person, some may be outside of Accra, and the fee, for instance, that Chris Bell mentioned. What, as a center, are some of the measures that have been put in place to support professionals like these?
All right. So, the HR Certification Center has been running for over 10 years. So, over the period, we've also observed, we've also done some surveys to understand how it runs for our attendees or our participants. And it's being a professional course, we realized that majority of our candidates are in the working class. And it's difficult to run programs during the weekdays to still have them participate fully. So we factor that in, and then we provide two learning options. So we either have the Saturday, that's the physical class, or the Sundays. We understand also that there are always activities happening right here in Ghana. And we've also considered that we have candidates beyond the shores of Ghana too. So if you can't come in person, you have the option to join online. And even right here in Ghana, we have candidates outside Accra. So you don't have to come down every weekend. I remember when I was taking my MBA course, we're having lectures one weekend in a month. And we had some candidates who had to fly in every that particular weekend in the month. And you can imagine the cost involved, basically because they didn't have an online option. But for us, we have both the physical class and then the online option. So if you are not in Accra, you can explore the online option on Sundays. We've tried to look at the hours, and we do about 6 hours of learning. So if Saturday you want to opt for the physical class, we run between 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And
9
after
to
that,
3.
if you need to dash down to an event, you can go ahead to do so. Taking myself, for example, there are times that I would quickly dash to the market before reporting to class back then when I was studying. And then for the online class, you could still go to church. For those of us who don't want to miss our church activities, or you want to pass through an event, you could do that and then
Mhm.
quickly make yourself available for the online class. And I noticed that they said she doesn't like things being done halfway. So
At
we are
all.
very prompt with our time. And she was happy that every information that we give, we adhere to it. So when we say 9 a.m., we are sure to start at 9 a.m. And if for any reason we need to move the time, we would always communicate it. And for our online classes, she realized too that there were times she wasn't available. The
Mhm.
recordings were shared, and it also helped her in catching up. Um, on occasions that maybe they have issues with internet, or they are basically not available during the class options. I think Chris also mentioned the fees. We also consider that not all of us would be on the same professional level or in the same financial status. And with the course being in three different levels, we have the Associate Professional in Human Resources International, that's our entry level. And then we also have the mid level Professional in Human Resources International. And then the senior level, that's the Senior Professional in Human Resources International. Each of these levels have their own fees attached, or placed. So based on the level that you qualify for, you would know how much you'd be paying. And we also have consideration for installments payments. So if you have challenges and you cannot make the full tuition fee, we give you the option to pay in installments. I guess that was very good for you, Chris Bell.
Mm.
Right, yes.
Yes.
No, I
Okay.
think Chris Bell, she had the funds to pay everything. Oh.
She just wanted to defer
No,
it.
I had to start my susu. So right from day
Ah.
one, I started saving towards
I had
that.
a conversation with a finance manager this week, and he says you have to turn the money around. So
Ah.
instead of giving it all to us, I'm sure you'd want to put it in an investment, and
I,
then every month you would see how much you would get out of it, and then pay for your tuition fee.
mm. All
Yes.
right.
So we have all that in place for our fees.
That seems very structured, and it looks like there's a system to cater for people who have certain challenges of this sort. Um, but I would want to throw this question at Didi. Uh, Didi, you have written the final exam, okay? And I believe for all of us on the call and anyone who would be studying the international exam, most of us, beyond acquiring the knowledge that we are seeking for, we would also want to be able to sit and write and pass the exam to become certified or chartered HR professionals. Can you walk us through how the exam day felt like? What were the preparations that went into it? You also mentioned the past questions that the center made available to you as a candidate to be able to use to study. But overall, what was the experience like?
So, should I start from how I studied or on the day?
Yes, feel free.
So as I said, I late last year I decided to get this thing done, right?
Mm.
Um, I gave myself December. It didn't happen because work was busy. Then I said Q1. I actually challenged my friend and I challenged ourselves. She was doing, I think, PMP. So we said,
Mm.
okay, Q1, let's get it done. Q1 came and went. I had various excuses. Um, then it came to payment. I was like, okay, let me pay, and then that will push me. So that was when you had a promo, which is nice. I think $100 off if you
Mm.
pay during a certain time. On the day I was going to pay, I went to the bank. They said, oh, I have to prove how I got the dollar that I had. So I left. I called your admin to complain about it. I was told, oh, you bring the dollar to the office. We can take it off you and register you. I couldn't go on that day, and I think that was the last day. So the following day, I went there like the day. I mean, the promo was over. I was so upset. I
Oh.
complained. I came to the office to complain bitterly. I left. And I'm like, I can't keep this money on me. I'll chop it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I complained, and I think within a week the promo happened again. So I then came to pay in CDs and I started to study. Okay, that was my plan. I joined the tutorials online. Um, it was hard to focus. As I said, I'm not an auditory person, so I'll join for about an hour or two, and then I have to get off because it wasn't sticking. So I was
Mm.
then going on to some test sites to do practice tests, which works for me. I'm the type who has to, when you get it wrong, even understanding why it was wrong helps me, right, for the future. So I did a lot of practice tests online, and then I registered for the day, and then I opted to do it from home. I know most people go to a test center, right? But for me, I hate driving in traffic. So to drive into Accra, I was like, nah. So let me try and do it at home. So I opted to do it at home, tested my laptop, and I realized because it was a work laptop, so there were some restrictions, which, well, meant I couldn't use my work laptop. So I tried to then change it to doing it at the test center, and there was a penalty. I'm like, no.
Ooh. Yeah.
And I already also confirmed the date. To change the date was going to be a penalty. So I was like, okay, let me get
Mm.
another laptop. Anyway, all in all, I made sure I was super prepared. So I got another laptop 2 days before I tested and did everything, made sure that even the home setting was the way it should be. And then the night before my test, somebody in one of the tutorial groups said, "Oh, I've just passed." I'm like, it was like 11 p.m. I said, "No, it cannot be that he went to a test center." So I called him like, "Did you do this at home?" Because I don't know anybody who's done at home. He said, "Yes." I'm like, how did it go? So he gave me a few tips about how it went, to make sure that even the room you're in has to be, you take photos of the room, right?
Mm.
And to be sure there's no TV visible or books visible. So in the morning, I had to move my whole bookcase out of the way. It was like a whole activity, but it helped that I made sure I was prepared. So the night before, I made sure my internet was ready. I wiped everything off the laptop. In the morning, 8 a.m., I set the room up. And then I got on. And listen, it helped that everybody who was posted as passing, I will call. And if I know them, I'll call them. Because it helps when you are boosted. You get that boost from somebody else who's gone through it. And for me, my mantra is that if somebody has done it, I can also do it. They are not any more intelligent than me, right? You have to have some self-belief. So I'll call anybody who I know is passed and I'll get a few pointers. So that was it. Be super prepared if you choose to do it at home. You can panic. So I would advise that because MTN can let you down and all that. But for me, it helped. I was very relaxed. Okay, I was relaxed. And if you have the chance to get study leave from work, take the opportunity. So I had 5 days study leave prior to the day. Okay, and that helped me to just stay focused and just do practice tests constantly on my phone. I'm just so on the go. I'm doing that on the go, and learn why you get questions wrong. Okay, don't you import that's not helpful because the questions are read generated and it can be asked in a different way. So understand why answer A is the answer to this question and why it's not B, C, or D. You are here to learn and not just pass an exam. Have that understanding. Yeah. And for me, it was helpful that, when you work in HR, you think it's common sense, right? So you're just doing it day in, day out. I've done it for over 20 years. So if you're not careful, you can also be over confident. But the topics, especially like change management, you're doing some things, so you don't know why you're doing them. The theory behind them is really helpful because
Mm.
sometimes you do some things because it's you're learning from practice. But
Yeah.
understanding the theory, the theories that have been put together by people who studied as scholars really helps you understand why you're doing what you're doing and do it in a more strategic way, right? Helps you to influence upwards better because now you know the theory behind it, and not just because you did this in two jobs ago and some other head of HR taught you how to do it, but now I understand why you're doing it the way you're doing it. Okay,
Mhm.
so understand why some questions are wrong and why some are correct, and learn to understand and not just to pass. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Did it from what you mentioned, one thing stood out to me, and that's personally, and that was community. You mentioned that someone put on the platform that they had passed, and then you reached out to them, and they give you some tips on what they did just to show you the ropes and then the guide. Um, I believe this kind of community is usually not made available if you are just in your room and trying to do things in your own corner, because HR in itself thrives on associations and then relationship you have with other HRs. And I can see that it played a very key role in your preparation as well. Um, that was a good one. Thanks for sharing with us. Um, Chris Bell, with the day's experience, I saw you taking notes.
Oh, yes, yes. I was. I'll be sharing with my study group team.
Yes,
In
I saw
fact,
you
it
taking
was
notes.
very
And
insightful.
yes, and Chris Bell is preparing to take the final exam. So I'm sure even after the call, did she'll reach out for some more tips.
No two ways about that.
Pleasure.
But Chris Bell,
Yeah.
even before writing the exam, looking at your work before and then after taking the exam, after taking the program, I mean, has there been any significant change? Have you seen any impact, especially in your work that you were doing before and then what you are currently doing? And before you take that question, I would want our participants to know that you can still drop your questions in the comment box so that after our speakers are done, we'll take your questions and then address them live. All right, Chris Bell, over to you.
All right, all right, thank you. So yes, absolutely. One statement I don't think I'll ever forget came from Dr. Jeff Bassey. He kept reminding us that HR must understand the business. HR must understand the business. You know, it sounds simple, but it completely changed the way I think. Like today,
Okay.
when I'm making HR decisions, I'm no longer looking at only the people side. I'm asking myself, how does this support the business? How does
Mm,
it affect productivity? What are the financial implications? What is the value HR is bringing to the organization?
okay.
And another area that has really impacted me is the HR analytics. The program taught me that we need to appreciate data. We need to be more data driven. So instead of making decisions purely based on your experience or instincts, like you should be asking yourself, what are the numbers telling me?
Mm,
What's whether it's absenteeism, recruitment, turnover, or performance, the data tells a story. And the program has also reminded me that HR professionals cannot shy away from the finance bit or the strategy bit, especially with the finance bit, because it involves numbers, calculations, and all of that. But if you want to understand the business, you must also understand the financial and the strategy bit as well. And also, the program, um, throughout the program, we learned strategy, we learned total rewards, we learned analytics, and then any more. It's also reminded us that behind every report, behind every policy, every KPI, there is the human factor,
mhm.
and they are the driving force. So we should appreciate the people we work with, motivate them, and support them whenever there is the need. So the balance between the business and the people has really transformed the way I practice HR and see HR now. It has
That's
really been helpful. Yeah.
mm. No, I loved when you mentioned the financial bits because it seems like every HR is trying to shy away from finance and then the math and the calculations. But now you're making us understand that we can't run away. So I think it's something each and everyone on the call can pick, that to become someone who is relevant in the organization and a strategic HR professional, the numbers are important. So that's a point that we would have to keep in our mind. Um, I'll direct this question at Dede, then I'll let Anbeta speak to it. Then we'll take the questions from our audience. Dede, what was the feeling like the moment you realized that you have passed the exam? That's the first one. And also, since you became a certified professional, I believe it was just recent, as you mentioned, but in your day-to-day work, have you seen any change? Though the duration is very short, or you certified just recently, have you seen any change in your day-to-day work as well?
You get sort of instant results, right? It's just a few
Yes.
minutes. So
Yeah.
I remember my heart was thumping. I kept telling
Okay.
people that, when I say I've been working in nature for over 20 years, they're like, oh, it's not, you can do it. But I'm like, I could actually disgrace myself, right? So I did not take it for granted that I'll pass. So I was still very anxious before I finally got I could get into the portal and see that I'd passed within a few minutes. So, but my first thoughts were, gosh, I should have done this earlier, really. I did feel like I've accomplished something very significant, but I also felt like I could have done a lot earlier. And also reminded me that, or affirmed the fact that sometimes your biggest obstacle is not capability, it's not whether you can do something or not. It's just
Okay.
about making that thing a priority. So it's less about capability, but how you prioritize yourself. So my first thought were like, I should have done this a lot earlier. The relief that came over me and the sense of accomplishment. I wish I'd given myself the chance to have that feeling or experience that 2 or 3 years ago. So those were my first thoughts and feeling when I realized that I had passed. But for me, I did this last month. It's actually been my friends and associates who've been celebrating me more than me doing that for myself. And I
Okay.
realized that it actually matters to people, right? I
Wow.
thought my
Mhm.
years of experience should be enough, but then it affirmed the fact to me that people really value these things. So when a few friends posted me, when I was posted in the various platforms, and people comment like, "Oh, why are they?" I'm like, okay, it really matters to people. It's not changed my work output overnight. It hasn't. It has
Yeah.
increased the confidence that people have in me.
Mm.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It truly has. And it was one of the reasons why I did it. I wanted to increase my profile, benchmark myself internationally. And the feedback from people have shown me that I have achieved the goal I set out to achieve.
Mm.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Confidence in,
Did,
in me from other people. Yeah.
Dede, would you agree that there are many senior HR professionals in today's environment who need this kind of confidence you are talking about, where people actually believe that they can do what they say they can do? Is this
Oh
something you
yeah.
believe?
Oh yeah. Because I think after a while of working, if you
Hmm.
get to a certain stage in your career, it's not just about doing good work for the employer you're working with. It's also
Hmm.
about ensuring that your qualifications, experience, and contributions are visible. We need the
Yeah.
visibility, really, unless everybody needs that self actualization at some point.
Yeah.
At some point,
Yeah.
doing what you do in your little corner is not enough, right? So, for me personally, I'm actively now trying to position myself for more broader executive opportunities beyond what I'm doing
Wow.
currently. And I have more confidence to do that now. Yeah.
We pray and we wish all these
A-
things will come to pass.
Amen.
Okay. Now to Anne Bertha. Didi has shared her experience. Chris Bell has also shared her experience. And Didi has made us understand that there is some confidence that, especially for the senior professionals, people begin to have in you after you become a certified or a chartered HR professional. If I am someone on the call and I want to be part of something like this, what do I need to know? What are some of the requirements? Um, is there something I should know about the program? Is there a need for maybe a cutoff point? Is there some qualification I should be aware of? I would want Anbeta to touch on that to bring clarity to it.
All right, thank you, Silas. So Dede has a very special learning experience with the center. I believe
Yeah.
she did the online learning,
Yes, she
and
mentioned.
she challenged herself to go in for the online testing.
Hmm.
So these are options that usually you'd have candidates trying to run away from because it's not the most convenient. And they're wondering if they would have that equal good experience if it was a physical class. So if she
Okay.
took all her sessions online, she went in for the online testing. I mean, at the first attempt, she realized she had some challenges, and quickly she made options available for her. You should know that you are at the best place to enroll for your certification course. We have the course in 3 levels, and as an approved preparatory provider from HRCI, we have a level per your qualification, if I should say so.
Okay.
Currently, I mean, both panelists are or let's say offered the Senior Professional in Human Resources International. And in their capacity, they have already their first degree. They also have a minimum 5 years work experience to be able to go in for the Senior Professional in Human Resources International. So if you are looking at taking a course in that level, that's a senior professional, you need at least a degree with 5 years work experience in HR or people management. Or if you have your master's plus your first degree, you need 4 years in HR practice or people management. Then you can go in for the senior professional. If you are in the entry level, let's say you do not have any HR experience at all, but you want to start your career in HR, we have a level for you. So that's the Associate Professional in Human Resources International. Maybe you've been doing more of administrative work. You now want to be into HR, you can start with that level. So you have your first degree, no HR experience. You would go in for the Associate Professional in Human Resources International. And then if you have your first degree and at least 2 years work experience in HR, so your first degree can be in any field, but you have 2 years work experience in HR operations, then you can go in for the mid-level, that's the Professional in Human Resources International. It's important to note that because it's a globally recognized certification, when you study beyond the shores of Ghana, you can practice in about 134 countries where the
100.
HICI certification is recognized. So it's not just in Ghana. I heard that they say she wants to look beyond the shores of Ghana, global. So if you are in that position or in that situation that you want to explore multinational organizations, it's one of the certification courses in HR that you should go in for because you can practice outside Ghana. And if you're also outside Ghana and you want to take the certification, you're sure to have it's being recognized in your country. If you are offering the professional in human resources international. So those are the differences. We have the international and then we have the one that is practiced in US only. But with the HRCI USA being a preparatory provider, I mean, the main certification body, they have given us the license to run the international certification. So based on your qualifications, you contact our admissions team. They would get to understand your educational background. They would also get to understand your work experience. Some of these are general, but if you let them understand what you actually do, they can rightly place you in the certification that you'd be able to understand and then also enhance your HR career.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that information, Anne Betha. And this is what I understood from what Anne said, that there are three different levels, and each level has its own requirements and the necessary qualifications. So once you reach out to the team, you'll be assisted and then you'll be put in the right program for you. Also, there's in-person and online options available. So you have that flexibility
Yes.
to choose as and when you want to be in person or online. Thank you for that, Anbeta. And
Okay.
I would want us to wrap up by taking some questions from our audience. But before that, we'll take a quick word from our sponsors, that's the HR Certification Center. And when we come back, we'll take the questions. If your question is not yet in the chat box, please do well to put it in the comment section. We are going to do well to answer it live before we round up. Stick and stay.
Certification Center commits to a higher standard. HR Certification Center commits to a higher standard.
Okay, welcome back, and this is the Q&A session, and we'll be taking some questions from the comment section, and our speakers would do their best to speak to it and then try and bring clarity to all your doubts. Now, the first question is coming from Belinda, and Belinda writes, is the certificate once and for all, or one will need to resit after a period of time, like in a form of renewal? Okay, I'll direct this question to Anne Betha, and so that she should address it.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your question, Belinda. So at the HR Certification Center, we prepare you for the certification exam. And after the preparation, you would have to sit for the certification exams before you become certified. So if you haven't taken the certification exams, you don't have the certification yet. So, for example, Dede and Chris Bell, Dede is certified, so she has the certification. Chrisbel is yet to certify. She has completed the preparatory tuition, so would usually award her a certificate to just show that she has taken a tuition in the course. But once she also goes in to sit for the certification exams, then she becomes a certified HR professional or a chartered professional. And just like all other certifications, after you certify, we expect that there's continuous learning. So for the international HR certification, the exam is a one-off. You take it at one sitting. You don't sit it. You don't take it in levels. But after your certification, you're expected to recertify after 3 years. So within that 3 years, there's supposed to be continuous learning. There's supposed to be continuous development to ensure that you are keeping yourself abreast with current HR trends. So that's why you would have to recertify after 3 years. But the certification exams is one time. And you have various options to use to recertify. You either take the certification exams again. For that, most of us would always run away from. But if you can go through 3 years of continuous learning, you take part in workshops, you take part in webinars, you also take part in some projects in HR in your businesses, your organizations, you can use that to recertify after 3 years. So Belinda, I hope you got that clear. One-time examination, but you recertify after 3 years to ensure that there's continuous learning.
Okay, so one time exam, but you recertify to show and prove that you are learning continuously.
Yes.
I think that's what's done for every certification across board. The accountants, the marketers, same. Yeah. Now, Jeffrey writes, how many times can you attempt? And he comes down to write again that if you fail on the first try, so he wants to know how many times can you attempt the exam if you fail on the first try. Not that he's praying to fail, but he wants.
Okay, so I'm happy to announce that just as we're preparing for our mid-year review, we've identified that we are hovering around 84%, more than 80% pass rate. So
Okay.
it's also higher than the international pass rate. So you can see that we are doing something good. So the probability of you failing when you sit for the exams is quite low. And
Okay.
I would hear my founder say that every exam should have someone pass and then someone would fail. So in the event that you are the unfortunate one failing, you have the opportunity to sit for the exams 3 times. So you the first attempt it doesn't go through, you have the second attempt and then the third. And you'd hardly have candidates going to the third. So maybe after the first attempt, the second attempt, they are good to go. But when you study with us, we don't just leave you if you fail. And we take you back into class and we walk you through some more preparation. We still have access to learning materials, some practice questions before you go in to take the exams again. And HRCI is also considerate. So they give you a 90-day cool-off period so that you go back, prepare yourself. You know, sometimes it may be demotivating. And so you go off a bit, cool off, and then after 90 days, you can go ahead to re-register for the exam.
Okay. That's a good feedback. So 84%, meaning out of every 10 people that the center presents, 8 of them pass the exam.
Yes.
That yes. And if it was 10 out of 10, that means the exam is not standard. I agree. Okay, so Jeffrey, that's it for you, and we hope you don't have to get to the third time. And
Not at all.
if you study with the center, is assured. Now, John is asking, and I'll let Didi take this one. He said, "Is the exam an MCQ
MCQs,
or
that's
or you
multiple
write
choice.
a multiple choice or you have to write the exam?" With Didi already experiencing that, I would wanted to take that question.
If there are multiple choice questions, even though I think somebody else also told me there was a fill the blank part of
Okay,
it, but I experienced multiple choice questions. Yeah.
all right, okay,
Okay.
and better confirmed.
Yes, the standard test is multiple choice. Occasionally, you'd have some fill in the blanks.
Okay,
You'd have, yeah, then those are just few, but then the standard format is multiple choice questions.
yeah,
You
I
don't
I
have to
said
write any long essay or project work, bring in 3 theses and all of that. No, multiple choice questions.
uh, I heard someone say that multiple choice you shouldn't feel because the answer is there. I mean, the
You
answer
must just identify it.
identify the answer, so it's there.
Yes.
So I think it's a good format, MCQ. Now, Princess is asking, will you be handed a certificate if you fail the test? And what is the passed mark? So Anne, I believe this one you would want to touch on the certificate you get after going through the program, and
Yeah.
then you bring clarity to the certification because that one, if you don't pass, all right. So Anne, better you can take that.
Okay. All right. So, is it Princess? Yes. So, Princess, we have a 6 month learning journey. And within the 6 months learning journey, we expect you to go through um, 6 modules of learning. We have tried to group the content areas and then put it in modules. So, based on the level that you are offering, you're either doing HR operations, recruitment and selection, compensation and benefits, human resource development, employee relations, health and safety, and of course, the labor laws of Ghana, which we also add as HR practitioners, we should understand what the labor laws are requiring us to do. So we have all those modules there. We have also our business management, leadership and strategy, workforce planning and talent acquisition. And at the end of the 6 modules of learning, we give you a certificate to show that you have taken part in the course. Um, as much as the course is meant for most candidates to certify, we also have others who just want to enroll for the knowledge. So eventually they may not sit for the certification exams, but they want to enhance their knowledge and expertise in HR. So with
Mm,
that, when we hand you or we give you the certificates of executive certificates of participation, you can use that to show or prove that you've taken the course. But when you take the certification exam and you pass, that is when you become a certified professional. And a certificate is also awarded only when you pass. They either have the e-certificate or the hard copy. They're trying to move away from the hard copy certificate. But once you have the certification, you have a unique number that is also assigned to you. And if you don't pass, you would not have any certificates. But for the tuition that you take with us, you will have a certificate, executive certificate to confirm that you have taken the course.
mm.
You asked about the pass mark. So the pass mark is 72%. You don't need 100% to pass. 72%
Wow.
is all that you need to pass the certification exams. So it's quite flexible. With a
Mm.
little push, you are sure to make the pass mark.
72%. That's
72%, yes. And
all
we
right.
walk you through the entire process.
Okay.
We don't just leave you after the preparatory tuition. You will have some support services given to you. The day has experienced it. And I'm happy that Chris Ball is also experiencing that bit.
Mm,
Chris Ball, you have to mention that you occasionally come around for your group discussions. I know they also join, they have some online discussions. So, Silas, you mentioned the community. That
yes.
community is also there that helps
Yeah.
you, it supports you in your preparation. So, you are sure to meet the pass mark of 72%.
Mm. That's very, very assuring. It means you are not left alone to your fate, even after you are done with the study. But now Carl also wants to know, he's asking, in terms of writing the professional exam, won't there be any exemptions, especially if you have a degree or master's in HR? If no, why?
Okay, David?
Carl.
Cal, okay, Cal. So right from enrollment, I could say that you get an exemption, kind of. So based on your qualification, if you already have a minimum 2 years work experience, you've already been moved to the mid-level, that's the PHRI. So you would not be writing the exams from APHRI before you go to PHRI. So if that's what you want to call consider as an exemption, maybe that would be, but if you have the minimum 2 years experience with your first degree, you go straight to take the PHRI exam. If you have your first degree with a minimum of 5 years with people management skills, you get to go straight to the senior professional level. So you're not going to write exams in PHRI and APHRI. You're just going straight to sit for the SPHRI exams. So that is how it runs. So you don't have to go through other things that you do not need, because it's also a professional exams. And before you come in, we are expecting that you have that practical knowledge already. It's
Mm.
away from the academics. So if you've done the academic part already, with your professional practice, you just go straight to the level that's best suits you.
Okay. So if I understand what and you just said, it means as because this is a professional program and not an academic program, even from the get-go, you are put in a program that meets your qualification.
Yes,
So so based on your qualification, you don't even have to maybe take the entry level, the mid level, you can be
actually,
pushed
before you
directly
move
to the
to the yes,
okay. So you don't need any exemption in that sense, or you can classify that as an exemption if you deem fit. All right.
yes.
That's good information. So it's currently 5:10. So I'll run through the questions because this was scheduled for 1 hour. But we have a few questions on the bill, so I would want us to touch on it. Michael is asking, after the preparatory learning, how long does the
Since we've lost
Yeah,
Silas.
it seems we've lost
How long?
Silas.
Like 3 years?
Silas, we are breaking. We lost you for a moment.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
All right. I think they did mention that it took her 3 years after studying with us to sit and write the exam. But Anbeta, how long does it take after the preparatory learning for you to sit and take the exam?
Okay, so after the preparatory learning, we usually encourage that you do not wait for too long. They did 3 years. Some do just a couple of months. So for myself, I completed my tuition in November and I started for the exams in February. So I gave myself about 2 months and it was active learning. So it's all dependent on you as an individual as well. As
Okay.
much as we encourage you to sit for the exams within 3 months after your preparatory tuition, everybody's learning pace is different. So once you understand your learning pace, doubling it with career, family, and all of that, it's a lot of money to put down that you would not be prepared and then you sit for the exams. So minimum, give yourself some 3 months. If you need to go beyond that, then you should be sure that there's continuous learning. I mean, you are gradually preparing yourself. But minimum within 3 months after the preparatory tuition, you can go ahead to register for the exams, most especially to so that you don't disengage from what you have actively studied within
Study.
the six
Yeah.
months period. But even
Yeah.
in the day's case, it took her 3 years. She came back, she went through the tutorials and all the prep sessions, and she still made it. But give yourself 3 months, you should be able to go in.
Okay. I believe for Chris Bell, it's not been so long after going through the
Criswell is
process.
writing before the end of the year.
Sharp, sharp, sharp.
Amen.
Herself and
Okay.
her study mates, they are writing
Yes,
before the end of the year.
hopefully.
Yeah. So Belinda comes back to say thank you, and Princess also says very well, thank you. Um, Now Abdullah is asking, what should a candidate study to pass the examination? What should a candidate study to pass the examination? Okay.
Okay. So Abdullah, we are a preparatory center. So we focus on the examinable areas in all our tuition. And we
Mm-hmm.
consider that in bringing in our faculty as well. So
Mm.
we have professionals in the HR space who handle all the modules that we teach here. So
Mm.
for each level of certification, we look at the examinable areas to teach. And we don't just look at you for the practice. And if on the other side, you just want for the exams, we also go beyond the exams and then look at what is happening on the grounds in our organizations, make it that practical. So it's not a chew and pour exams. So if you
Mm-hmm.
also understand the content, when the questions are set in similar tones, it's easier for you to relate and it's also easier for you to respond to the answers. If I know we are far behind time, but I think I mentioned the areas for our APHRI candidates. For
Yeah.
our PHRI candidates, you have the business management, workforce planning, employee development, total rewards, employee relations, and labor laws. And then for our senior level, we have the leadership and strategy, workforce planning and talent acquisition, employee development, total rewards, and employee relations. So in all our classes, we make sure that our facilitators focus on the examinable areas, and all the areas have percentages that are marked in the exams. So we use
Mm.
that in our preparation.
Okay. And I believe Abdullah is a current student, and he's asking
Okay.
if the exam will be based on the reading materials shared during the program, or is there a
Yes.
need for additional materials in order for them to read and pass?
Yes. So we have been giving the, should I say, the study materials, or somebody will also call it the textbook.
Mm,
So based on the materials that are provided, that is all that you need. You don't need to go and study beyond, I mean, get materials beyond what has been provided. If
okay.
there are any others that we need to give to you, we make sure that we make them available during your study with us.
All right. Thanks for the clarification. We'll take the last two questions and we call it a good session. Now, someone is asking that is the tuition fee different from the professional certification fees? I believe he's talking about the tuition and the exam. Hi, Anbetha. You are currently muted.
Silas, please come again.
Okay, so Samuel is asking if the tuition fee is different from that of the professional certification fee.
Yes, Samuel, the tuition fee is different from the examination fee.
Okay.
And the good thing too is that you do not have to pay the examination fee just as you are paying the
The
preparatory
tuition.
tuition fee.
Mm,
So we allow you to pay the tuition fee first, and then when you are done with the program, you can go on to pay the examination fee. So the APHR examination fee is $400. The PHRI examination fee is $495. And then the SPHRI examination fee is $595. With the
okay.
preparatory tuition, if I mean, we consider that we would have some candidates wanting to do installment payments. So we allow that. For the APHRI, you'll be doing 1,300 CDs per month for the 6 months. So 1,300 for 6 months. And for PHRI, you'll be doing 1,600 for 6 months. And for SPHRI, you'll be doing 1,800 for 6 months. So after the 6 months payments, then you can do the certification exams fee. But if the money is ready, of course, you don't want to spend it. The day have to take it and bring it back. She
Mhm.
might not have come back. So if you are ready and you have it, we would we will take it and then hold it in trust so that once you are ready, we can register you for the exams. And it's that considering that you have within 6 months to sit for the certification exam.
Mm,
So you don't pay today and then you're expected to write tomorrow. It's very flexible. You have 6 months of eligibility period to
oh,
choose your
okay.
most preferred exams dates to sit for the exam.
So that means after you pay, you have 6 months to choose your date.
Within 6 months that you should sit for the
Let's
exam.
try the exam. Okay, that's good. And Carl is asking that does that mean he can sit the exam any day of the year?
Yes, beautifully, you can sit the exams. The exams is written all year round. That's the
Okay.
HRCI exams. It's written all year round. So Monday to Friday, the exam can be written either at the testing center, or if you are that daring like the day and you want to go for the online option, you can get to choose that. But Monday to Friday, all through the year, even some holidays, I think with the exception of the festive holidays, especially the Christian holidays, all through the year, the testing centers are open. I think currently we have about 3 testing centers in Ghana. So you just have to contact or choose which one. It's usually two in Accra, one in Kumasi. So based on your location, you find yourself close to the testing center. And if you are beyond or outside Ghana, we have testing centers in almost all the 134 countries. So you do
Mm,
not need to fly down to Ghana to take the exams. And you can
mm,
also opt for the online option. if there's no testing center close to you. Once you are sure that you have good internet connection, you have the required laptop with the camera and all the speed, you can go in for the online option to take the exams. So all year round, you can go ahead to register.
Okay, so that's it for Carl. You can take the exam any day, anytime, as long as it's a working day. And bet I'm right, right? As long as it's a
Yes.
working day. Saturday,
Occasionally, some
Sunday.
Saturdays are also open.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, Belinda is asking that if she has an APHRI, can she come back and take either the PHRI or the SPHRI?
Yes, you can. You can do that. And when you meet the qualification, you can come back to do so. You have the 2 years HR experience. You can do the top up. We call that. You can come and do the top up, and then you get to have the focus areas in PHRI. If it's the SPHRI, you'd also get to do the top up to run the SPHRI. Immediately you meet the required experience.
Hmm. Now, Silas is our last question. We are taking the last question from Silas in T. And Silas is asking that is it necessary to sit again for another certificate from Institute of Chartered Human Resource Management after getting a certificate from the Human Resource Certificate Institute? Okay, I believe the question is after getting an HRCI certification, is there a need to sit for another exam from CIHRM? That's the local regulator for Ghana.
Okay, thank you for your question, Silas. So, with the certifications, in Ghana, you have the local certification, and then we also have the international HR certifications that are recognized. So sometimes it's dependent on you as an individual. What do you need or what do you want for your practice? If you are looking at practicing globally, then you would go in for the international HR certification. If you just want to look at the local certification, then you can go in for the CIHRM, but you know that that is pertaining to just Ghana. And if you have the international certification, you can use it to practice everywhere. So you do not necessarily have to go in to take the local certification unless you also want to. But they are all recognized HR certification programs. So based on what you want, whether you want to have the local certification or you
Mm,
just want to have the international certification, you can use both to practice, but the international one can take you beyond the shores of Ghana.
okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Anne, can I come in?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so I am a chartered member of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management
Resource.
Ghana.
Yes.
Yeah, but I
Mhm.
felt that I needed to challenge myself to broaden my perspective and also my
Exactly.
exposure to global HR practices. So that motivated me
You
to
to go
enroll in
in.
this program, which I
Okay.
must admit has been very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
glad to hear. Okay.
Okay. That was a good addition, Chris Bell. So which means even with the CIHRM certification, you can still take the HRCI
Yeah,
just like what
exactly.
Isabel has done. And
Mhm.
then, especially when you want to move beyond the shores of Ghana or you want to work in multinational organizations. Okay, this has been a long run. Ordinarily, the session was meant for 1 hour, but we've done 1 hour, 25 minutes. And I want to say a very big thank you to our guest speakers and our candidates, being in the person of Dede and Christabel. Also, special thanks to Anne Bertha, who is from the HR Certification Center. We are very grateful for your time, your knowledge shared with us. Silas says thank you from here as well. Silas, you are welcome. We are grateful for the time you've shared with us, your experience, and I must say it's not too common. I believe, especially with Dede, you would have to study your experience very critically. So it's been very insightful, and thank you for joining in. Also, a big thank you to our participants or our audience for tuning in with us all the way through to the end of today's conversation. Before we draw the curtains, I'll take the closing remarks from our speakers and then we call it a good event. So I'll take from Chris Bell first, then I'll go to Dede and Betha, and then we end today's session.
All right, thank you very much. So as we wrap up, I would say that the SPHRI journey has so far been very enriching experience. It has been a rewarding one as well. One key thing I have come to appreciate is the fact that we should not only focus on passing the exams and obtaining the certificate, but more importantly, on acquiring the knowledge and insights that will help us become better HR professionals and add more value to the organization. And also, I would encourage that as you embark on this journey, you build strong support system. Because for me, being part of a study group has been very helpful. We learn
Mm,
together, we go through the modules, discuss the areas, solve past questions, and keep each other motivated as we prepare for the exams. But I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of my study group team to thank the HR Certification Center for their continued support. They have provided us with a conducive space where we meet on Sundays in
mm,
person for study sessions. And the facilitators, they've been always supportive. We always call on them whenever we are caught up in a very difficult situation or an aspect of the module that we are not too clear of, and they always come on board. When you call them, they are always available to come on board and provide the needed support. So we appreciate all of them. As Dr. Bassey will always say, you, if your name is mentioned, how many people know you? So it's all about building the connections, having good networks, and and ensuring that you also motivate each other throughout this journey. Don't always operate in isolation. Build that team, build that connections, and it's going to help you. And one key thing is consistency. You need to be committed, you need to be disciplined and stay focused throughout the process. I mean, we are still learning and still preparing, and we look forward towards putting our best efforts into these exams. And I know we are going to come out with flying colors. So thank you very much, HR Certification Center. It's been an awesome journey with you and your facilitators. We are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris Bell. That was a good one. Build teams, build networks, have a strong support system. Very, very key. Thanks for sharing, Chris Bell. So, Dede, your closing remarks.
I think Chris Bella said it all. But I wanted to say all the best to Chris Bell as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think from just interacting with you from yesterday and today, I have every belief that you do well. Um, just a few add-on from me is that for me, the message is very simple. Invest in yourself, right? If you're now
Yeah.
thinking about embarking on the studying, if you're currently studying, or if like me, you've completed and you are yet to sit the exam, don't wait for the perfect time. There would always be work, deadlines, family commitments, competing priorities. Prioritize yourself and invest in yourself. HRCC have tailored everything around busy workers. Okay. They are there to give you the support and knowledge that you need. So the final step is you signing up and committing a few hours of your time every day or every week to going through the program and actually sitting for the exam and studying towards it. And you need to trust yourself, trust your preparation and go for it. And you realize that you there's more you can do. Sometimes we think less of ourselves. till we challenge ourselves. So for me personally, obtaining the credentials was about reaffirming my faith in myself and my commitment to myself to make myself better. Right. So prioritize yourself, invest in yourself, and take that step. And thanks for the opportunity, HLCC.
Prioritize yourself, invest in yourself, have faith in yourself, and take that step. Dede, thank you for that. I, you got me at the invest in yourself, because we want to invest in properties and the food, but ourselves, la lie. That was a wake up call to a lot of us. Thank you. All right, and Betha, we'll take your closing remarks and then we'll draw the curtains.
Okay, all right. Let me thank our candidates for making time for us too, and all our participants as well.
Mm.
They've spoken about staying committed, focused, be disciplined. She's also talking about invest in yourself. Salas, you want to invest in your stomach.
Eh,
We are
I've changed, I've
expecting that
repented.
you invest in yourself, and the growth starts with just one decision. It's just you making up your mind to start the certification course. You do not need too much. The decision would give you the will to move on and to be able to balance your career and still steady. We know adult learning is not easy, but we have tailored our tuition to factor all of that in for our practitioners. Don't just go out there and do just anything. Invest in the knowledge. Enroll with the HR Certification Center. Let's equip you with all the needed skills to be able to practice fairly, practice beyond what is just done or what you're used to or familiar with globally. And if you want to do that, please contact our admissions or our hotline on the 0244 122 855, 0244 122 855. Registration is currently ongoing for our next cohort starting September 12th. And we do not, we will not close up registrations immediately, but once we meet the cutoff points for our class sizes, and we would have to close it up for the next enrollment. And registration or application fee is 200 Ghana cedis. You sure to contact us. We would have our admissions officer quickly assist you with the registration process. You pay your registration fee, and we would send you all the details that you would need to register to join our next cohort starting September 12th. We'll be happy to have you join our HR community, and we will work with you through your entire preparatory journey to attain your international certification. Thank you for having us to Silas, and we are sure to help you stand out in today's competitive workplace.
All right. It was a pleasure being your moderator for today's session. My name is Silas Apia, and just as Anbetha rightly mentioned, if you want to start your journey with us, the number is 0244 122 855. You can always become like Christabel and Dede, and then you join the big certification body and become a certified HR professional. This has been the HR Decoder, where we listen to real experiences from candidates who have gone through the center and where they share their difficulties, their successes, and the reason why they believe this is a journey you should also embark on. Once again, thank you, Dede. Thank you, Christabel. Thank you, Anbetha. Thank you, each and everyone on the call. And until we meet again, it's bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a lovely
you.
weekend.
Thank
Thank you,
you for the
Silas.
opportunity. Thank you, Silas.
And
Thank you, Anberta. Thank you,
congratulations.
Dede. Dede, I'll be calling you. I
Yes,
need more
Christabel.
filler.
I also need philosophy. Okay, have a lovely weekend.
Why do 93% of the world's leading multinational companies prefer certified professionals? Because they tend to be committed to higher standards and ethics and maintain an informed intercultural competency. Whether you're seeking to build a career or to upgrade your HR professional career, you need to get trained and certified at the HR Certification Center today. Our experience in training and certifying HR professionals is unparalleled. We're trusted to offer a comprehensive portfolio of advanced professional credentials for the HR professionals worldwide, and today, more than 500,000 HR professionals worldwide in 125 plus countries proudly maintain our credentials as a mark of higher professional distinction. HR Certification Center. Call or WhatsApp today on 0244 122 855.
HR Certification Center commits to a higher standard.
Purchase your